it's time to get our program started. To begin, I would like to introduce to you all my friend Lisa, who I've had the pleasure of interviewing for WCCO about her work for the Minneapolis Walk Run. Lisa is a true champion for the mission. She began actually fundraising for Beat a Match in February 2011, just a few months after her own transplant. Lisa formed a Beat a Match walk run team called the Mudbloods, who I'm a proud member of. Mudbloods in the house, Mudbloods in the house. The Mudblood stands for Match Unrelated Donors, and begin to mobilize her friends, family, co-workers, neighbors, even her beautiful daughter's orthodontist came out to support Be the Match. Over the past 3 years, the Mudbloods have raised over, are you ready? $60,000. Can we give them a hand? $60,000. Lisa is living proof that one person can truly make a difference. Please join me in welcoming to the stage Lisa Gareis, this year's honorary tribute chair. Put your hands together for Lisa, folks.
You forgot something. Reg, you're a mudblood. Put your pin on, okay? You gotta wear it tonight.
You know you have to help me, just like you did last time. I do have an original Mudblood pin, but it's on my desk at WCCO. So when people ask me what it is, I'm able to tell them about Beat a Match and Lisa's incredible work in raising money for this life-saving organization.
Okay, be careful, it's not on point.
Okay,
Okay?
I'll get it.
All right.
I'll take this one. There you go.
All right. All right, good evening, everyone. And thank you, Reg, for that introduction. I want to start with a very serious statement from a very humorous man, Dr. Seuss. And Dr. Seuss, in the book The Lorax, said the following: unless someone like you cares a whole awful lot, nothing is going to get better. It's not. So tonight I'd like to share with you my story, but it's actually a family's story, because when blood cancer strikes someone, the effects ripple across and through the family and beyond. My husband Jim and I have been married nearly 27 years, and we're both engineer types. You'll notice that in my speech. We're fortunate to have developed 2 careers here in the Twin Cities, which ultimately landed with one company. It was a fast-paced and fun life with business travel, sailboat racing on Lake Calhoun, the birth of our son in 1992, and the opportunity for overseas work assignments. Our first stop was Amsterdam in the late 90s, where we lived in an apartment that required hooks, ropes, and a ladder truck to move our furniture in. Our weekend transportation was either our bicycles or a small boat on the canals, and we thrived in the land of cheese and tulips. Then along came a surprise in our lives. I hope this makes you laugh. Twins. You'll see them a little older later. Understanding the challenges of those early years, we returned to the US for the arrival of our 2 daughters. However, that overseas passion had never left, and when an opportunity came up for Jim to take his dream assignment in England, we jumped at the chance and settled into a rural community just outside of London. For 6 years, we had a wonderful time driving on the other side of the road, and we learned a very new language. So where is all this going, you ask? To Switzerland, of course. That was the next stop. So in 2008, we loaded all of the accumulated belongings into a very rickety-looking moving van, and off it went to the mainland of Europe. We lived just outside of Lausanne, and soon we learned to love skiing in the Alps and fondue. Life was good, and as our son's high school graduation approached and the plans were in a feverish pitch, I paused and thought one night, gosh, it's been a great ride. It's been filled with work and a few challenges, but we're doing okay, and our firstborn's actually going to go to college. How fortunate are we? Turned out that was a very ominous thought. Only a few weeks later, after a comedy of events, I found myself in the hospital in Lausanne in serious condition, being told by a very handsome Swiss-Italian doctor, "You have leukemia." I questioned him a few times. That balloon of good fortune had just burst. And to paraphrase Christopher Hitchens, a well-known author, I had crossed to the land of malady, where drugs had names like starships, ondansetron being the typical anti-nausea drug. And the ripple effect began for those around me. Everything about our future, from summer vacations to college orientation, became a big question mark. And of course, there was that treatment plan. Weeks make that months in a 10 by 10 foot room, often in isolation. We suddenly had a new set of challenges to face and in a relatively new environment with relatively shallow roots. But being two engineers and of different strengths, we buckled down to sort things out. The original summer plan would remain, but without Mom. The end of the school year was a blur as friends took over those regular routines. A Minneapolis scientist friend became our backup medical researcher. Friends in Minneapolis took over the camp preparations, and I still owe apologies. Sorry, they had to do all the camp laundry. Our kids are experienced travelers, so they coped well, but it was far from a normal summer, as you can imagine. It was a challenging time, and we all tried to keep our faith and our strength going. So where is Be the Match in this? Why am I telling you my travel log? Well, a bone marrow transplant was my best treatment once we kicked that leukemia with chemo. Unfortunately, my 3 siblings were not a match. And in early August of 2010, the search was on for that unrelated donor. Due to my heritage, the Swiss were reveling in the idea of finding my match in the local registry or one of the European registries. At this point, with an allogeneic transplant in the plans, Jim and I made the very difficult decision to return to the United States. We had absolutely no concerns about the Swiss medical system, but the Mayo Clinic had a strong reputation, and our support network in this area was much deeper. Over the course of the next few months, we accomplished a lot. I actually have to say Jim accomplished a lot. I visited our son and my family in Atlanta, and I had frequent appointments at Mayo with Dr. Mark Litzau as he took on my case. Jim and our daughters lived in Switzerland preparing for an overseas move and selling all the 220-volt equipment we had. In late November, we reunited here for a truly meaningful Thanksgiving. I enjoyed the newly released Harry Potter movie with our daughters, and the next morning, I was admitted to Mayo to prepare for transplant on December 2nd, 2010. I was a very fortunate patient. My side effects were manageable, and I returned to Minneapolis only a month after transplant and avoided rehospitalization. This was easier for me than for many patients. Since transplant, I've grown stronger, and I now hold a part-time job. I lead our fundraising team, the Mudbloods, as well as volunteer at registry drives and other Be the Match events. My goal today was to share with you a family's story of a journey through transplant and out the other side. So now let's tell you how Be the Match contributed to this success story. Be the Match could search over 20 million people globally to find my donor. Despite this, there are still patients who do not find a match, and we can do better. Being over the age of 50, which I know shocks you all, I benefited from research by Be the Match, which has improved the survival rates of older patients like myself. The travel and copay cost of a transplant is high, and many people struggle to handle those normally uninsured costs. Be the Match provides patient support for those families that are less fortunate. So tonight, I want you to please support the great work and the very specific results of this organization. Remember, you can be the one. So what's next, might you ask? Well, I'm glad you're sitting down. A week from tonight, I will be at the tribute dinner in Atlanta for Be the Match, and I will meet Rika Schrant. She's my stem cell donor, in person, and now I gotta keep it together. Nearly 3 years ago, at the age of 21, she took time from her college courses in Germany, traveled by train to a transplant center, and donated to someone who she had no idea who they were or where they were. And she saved my life. You know what? That Swiss team was right. That donor was in their backyard. And thank goodness for Be the Match, their global systems to ensure donor screening, selection, and finally donation. Just another personal reason to support this group this evening. So tonight is your opportunity to care a whole awful lot and be the one to make a difference. Thank you very much.